Hello my beautiful people, and welcome to another episode here on my Karmatika Designs YouTube channel. Just the other day I was reminiscing about the days when I first wanted to start sewing. I had no idea where to start. I did not know anything about fabrics, leave alone about sewing machines and how to operate them, and there's just a lot to learn when it comes to sewing and designing your own clothing. So if you are one of those people who have always wanted to learn how to sew, just know that the very first thing that you need to learn how to do is to thread a machine, because while you can still do everything by hand, it will probably take a long time, and I mean, time is gold, like they say. So if you are one of those people who have always wanted to learn how to sew, how to maybe even start sewing your own clothing, or maybe even you don't like long-term projects like that, maybe you just want to learn how to hem your own pants or how to just alter clothes that you already have, today I will be teaching you how to thread both a home sewing machine and an industrial sewing machine. So if you're interested in learning this, or if you know somebody who is looking to learn how to sew, doesn't matter how old you are, you can always learn how to sew and how to gain new skills. So if you're interested in learning, keep on watching, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, send me comments, DM. I'm waiting to hear everything you have to say. Thank you so much, and keep on watching.
Alright guys, so this is the Designio DZ2400 computerized sewing by Brother. This is in general a pretty good sewing machine, and what I like the most about it is all the options for stitches and embroidery patterns that it has. Although it's a bit tricky to get to learn how to use them, it is a pretty good sewing machine for basically all entry levels, from beginner to advanced sewers. Although if you're an advanced sewer, you might want to opt for an industrial machine.
Alright guys, so now that I have shown you the type of home sewing machine that I use, I do want to talk about a few things. Well, first of all, there's tons of home sewing machines out there. You don't have to use this specific one that I'm using, but in this video I will demo how to thread it. As a bonus, I will teach you how to wind your bobbin as well. So before we start, there's a couple of things that I like to talk about. First of all is your thread. The type of thread has everything to do with how your sewing experience will go, because trust me, I have used threads in the past without even paying attention on the type of thread that they had to be. So if you can see that a bit, you want to use 100% polyester thread, only because it's the most resistant. Okay, it's not going to be breaking every time. I once was trying to sew with I think it was like an embroidery thread or a viscose, and it was just breaking and breaking and breaking. I'm like, why is this happening to me? So anyway, polyester 100%. The next thing I want to talk to you about, and it will be also one of your most crucial things to have when you start sewing, will be your sewing. Sorry guys, I dropped that. Will be your sewing needles. Okay, so you want to use what they call universal needles, and a few things about these. Like, well, this one was a much bigger package, as you can see. But basically it goes from the thinnest to the thickest needle, and what that does is basically you use the needles depending on the thickness of, or the heaviness of your fabric that you're working with. Only because, you know, if you use a thinner fabric, you don't want to be causing super big holes with thicker needle that you would use on, let's say, upholstery or denim fabric, you know. So very important, you don't want to be raking out a ton of needles. They're not super expensive, but still it's an investment, and you gotta take care of your materials because it does add up. Okay, so that being said, let's jump into threading our machine.
Alright guys, so the very first thing would be to place your thread spool on the thread holder in the machine. Next, you'll want to put your thread on the first hook behind the machine. Then bring it towards you, wrap it around the knob on the top of the machine. As the image on the right shows, you want to bring your thread right under the plastic piece. Then you will want to bring the thread towards you, and you will notice the metal plate that moves around. You want to be sure that the thread goes through there. The really nice thing about this machine is that it has instructions all over guiding you where to bring your thread through. So next you want to bring it down through 2, then up through 3. Bring it all the way back, and then you will notice that there is a metal hook in between, and you definitely want to put your thread through there. Following that, simply put your thread through the hook above the needle as such. This machine does include a needle threader, but it broke and it's no longer working, so you just want to hook it through there. And finally, for threading the top of the machine, just thread your needle from front to back.
And one very elemental part of sewing or a sewing machine would be a bobbin. So there are 2 types of bobbins basically. You got your plastic one, clear plastic, and then you got your metal ones. My understanding was that the metal ones would go on the industrial machine, but I have actually tried it on the home sewing machine and it works perfectly. There's no need to fret about, you know, the kind of bobbin that you're using. They are pretty much the same size, so it should totally fit. But my home sewing machine definitely came in with plastic ones, so that's what I will use for the sake of this video.
For the last part, to get your home sewing machine nice and threaded, place the bobbin in the bobbin compartment, follow the curve around, and simply end up by cutting the thread. And whatever you do, just don't forget to put the lid back on. As a bonus, I will teach you how to wind up your bobbin whenever you run out of thread. So simply place your bobbin on the bobbin winder, shift to the right. Also, as a reminder, don't remove the thread from the first hook and the knob, because this will guide and cause the tension that the bobbin needs to wind up. So then simply just wrap the thread around the bobbin, press the pedal, and the bobbin should start winding up, and it will stop automatically when it is all full.
So next up, we are sitting here at my industrial machine, and like I said before, I really like this machine only because, you know, it sews a little bit more professionally, and also the speed of the stitching is insane. So if you are a more experienced sewer, I would highly advise you to invest in one of these babies, because it will make your sewing life a whole lot easier. But then again, if you're a beginner, just go with the home sewing machines. So first things first, we are going to learn how to thread the industrial machine. So here we go.
Alright guys, so for the industrial machine that I'm using the JUKI DDL-8700. You want to start by grabbing your thread and bringing it all the way up and threading it through the little hole on the top. This will help the thread guide into the rest of the machine. Bring it down to this little post. Take your thread and put it in through the hole, and then in through the discs. Thread it through the first hole on the eyelet, and then the third hole, wrapping it once around as such. Put it through the first hook, in through the discs, and then you'll notice it has this little wire lever. You want to put your thread through there only to ensure tension. Next up, you will notice that the knob on the right moves the lever with the eyelet. What you want to do is to put your thread through that little eyelet hole. Make sure to have a nice sharp point on the thread. Thread it through, bring it down, and put it in through the side hook. We're almost done. Just put it through the S-shaped hook that is above the needle, then through the little hole above the needle, and finally just thread your needle from left to right. And there you have it. Leave a long tail.
Next, let's talk about the bobbin that goes into the industrial machine. Basically, it has two parts. You have your bobbin and you have your bobbin case. All you do really is you're going to place the bobbin inside the case as such. You have your tail of your thread, and then you have this little, I don't know if you can see it, kind of hard, but you have this little slit right there. That's where the thread has to go through. So pull that down right through there. Okay, and then pull it to the side, and you will see this little hook that goes in, and you should hear a clicking sound. Now it's in there. You should be able to hold your bobbin by the thread without it falling off.
Next, you will notice the metal plate that slides to the left. You want to take your bobbin, bring it underneath that area, and place it into the compartment where the bobbin goes. You will hear a clicking sound. Close it up. Bring up the lever that lifts the foot. Hold your thread from the needle. Rotate the knob, and you will notice that the needle will begin to pick up the bottom thread from the bobbin, bringing into a small loop as such. And there you have it. Just pull it out, and you should be all set with your two long tails going under the presser foot. Bring the foot down, and you are all set to get started sewing. To wind up your bobbin in this machine, go to the back side of the machine and put your thread through the eyelet hole, followed by putting your thread through the plates. Thread goes over and under. Pull the thread, wrap it around your bobbin, push the middle piece forward, and get started winding by pressing the pedal.
Alright, my beautiful and magical beings, this has been it for this video on how to thread a machine. I hope I covered everything that involves the whole process of just getting started to sew. If you have any questions, because I'm sure you do, please don't hesitate to ask me, reach out to me either directly or in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer to all of your questions that you may have. Without further ado, I hope you have learned something. I hope you are feeling ready and excited to get started. Sewing can be really a very therapeutic activity, and I highly recommend it for anybody who is just trying to get their creative juices flowing. It's also pretty much a survival skill to have, because we will keep using clothes no matter what, unless you live by a nudist beach or something like that. But other than that, clothing is going to be one of those main things of our daily living. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and share with your friends, with your family, with anybody who you might think they can get inspired in their journey of sewing. So blessings, good thoughts, and lots of love your way. Thanks for your continued support, Have a blessed day.